Every artist brings a unique vision into the world, and that vision is usually more refined than a regular user's perspective. Why? Because it's shaped by years of observation, by watching and analyzing the work of other artists, and of course, test and try designing. And you might ask, wait, if you've been looking at a plugin for 15 years, haven't you just seen too much? And I'd say yes, maybe. But have you looked at these interfaces through the lens of style, composition, lighting, innovation, hierarchy? Have you tracked them whether the plugin became a trendsetter or just another? That kind of visual mileage, the ability to decode interfaces using professional categories, that's what separates a regular user from a design expert. So join us on a journey through this winter plugin releases, and let's explore how user interface design can inspire, confuse, or transform a product. Howdy, I'm Natalia Guerra. I'm a Vogue Design co-founder, and let's explore audio user interfaces together. First on the list, Oceanic by SonicLAB. Oceanic, you name it. This one instantly pulls you in. The animated 3D wave, visually mesmerizing, the color palette, expected and bold. And in motion, it looks even better. But here's the thing, great design isn't just about being pretty. Once you start interacting with the interface, issues surface. Now, imagine if we just refined the grouping and improved the contrast. This plugin can move from cool idea to really joy to use, and it's that close. By the way, Oceanic is a spectral morphing tool with deep sound shaping capabilities, and that level of innovation deserves a UI that matches its sonic power. Next up, Orange Clip by Schwabe Digital. Let's take a closer look at this user interface. And at first glance, this design feels almost perfect. But something's a little bit off, right? It's a textbook skeuomorphic user interface, almost flawlessly executed. But let's go back 2017 year or so, when we would just start seeing and working on such UI design trope when it was just emerging. And let's say we're looking at the user interface, basically a digital screen embedded inside another digital screen, let's say a door, and on top of it you can see a physical looking knob. Now ask yourself, have you ever seen this kind of approach in real world, like a metal or plastic knob placed directly onto an LCD screen? Yeah, exactly, that's the problem. It breaks the illusion and reality that skeuomorphism relies on. And when your brain feels that disconnect, it registers as something's wrong, right? Now, let's talk about the product presentation. If you've seen this launch visuals, here is the really beautiful 3D render. 5 versions of the plugin placed, on this presentation. 4 of them shattered, only 1 intact. And to me, I'm always looking for a sense. Is it a metaphor? Is it branding? Maybe it's a subtle message. Maybe one more design iteration could have clarified the concept, because storytelling in user interface is a good and powerful tool, and it also applies to the presentation. Let's sprinkle a little bit of salt on this steak. Check the corner radius. Are they consistent across all elements? It's a tiny detail, but just like in Apple's design language, consistency here creates a feeling of polish and harmony. Thank you, Schwabe. It's a great user interface. And now let's talk on the brand power, the branding. Among the winter releases, there's only one that instantly stands out. And not because of the contrast, spacing, typography, composition, it's because of culture. And this plugin gives the subtle and powerful nod to Pink Floyd's legendary visuals. And that kind of reference, it's really shines and sticks. It's bold and iconic and very hard for other releases to outshine. So most other plugins this season, they'll have a tough time competing that kind of visual storytelling. Now let's shift to something more subtle but just as important. And here's a plugin with a pleasant color palette. It's sleek, minimal and modern, but a branding perspective, here's the trap. This exact same visual style is used for both free and paid plugins within the same product line. And here's the risk. Overexposure to free version might subconsciously de-evaluate the paid ones. You might say, yeah, but hardware makers do this all the time. Cheap and premium gear often look alike. True, but even cheap hardware still costs something. Now picture this, you scroll through your feed and keep seeing the same visual language on freebies you skip. A month later, a paid version appears, but your brain already tagged that as unimportant. So you scroll past it without even thinking. That's how visual memory affects perception of value. So once we've talked about the minimalism style, let's dive into minimalism. Have you noticed how many of the winter plugins lean into flat and minimalism style? Here's the catch. A lot of these minimalist plugins are free and feel rushed, relying on that fast and cheap design decisions that are available to make a quick user interface. It creates a framing effect. When your eye gets used to this quick and minimal user interfaces, even a premium minimalist product can start to feel underwhelming. So what happens? Developers of high-end plugins are pushed to adopt more complex visual language and strategies to just stand out and justify their price. What do you think? Can you already tell the difference between cheap minimal and intentional minimal? Let's look at a few examples, from crush to unstable. How do they feel to you? Let me know in the comments. Now that's the case of minimalism done right. Polar Design 3 features a clean and restrained layout. Flat design, simple, stylish and effective, and the icon set is consistent. The color palette for active states is tasteful, and the contrast, it works without being distracting. There's just one design element that sticks out, and it's the modulation wheel. It completely breaks from the otherwise unified style. And funny enough, we ran into this same issue when we were designing our UI kits. You might want to peek into one of ours to just find some inspiration how to better integrate your modulation wheel into the overall style. Check this out. Now, this one has got a fresh and futuristic vibe. Bloom Synth by Excite Audio comes with smooth animations, a unique layout, and a signature central shape designed to visualize sound movement in real time. The contrast is being balanced. The color palette is easy on eyes. No harsh element, no distractions. The entire layout is built around negative space, using the central hook element as visual anchor. It feels light, airy, and modern. But some of the controls are so abstract and unconventional that they may slow the first user down. They look beautiful, yes, but might leave you wondering, wait, what does this do again? Still, it's an exciting experiment and nod to this amazing design agency. We are genuinely curious how this design will age over time. Next up, a masterclass in composition and UX for guitar plugins. We worked on quite a few guitar user interfaces ourselves, and trust me, finding the right balance between showcasing the instrument and giving users enough control options at the same time, it's not an easy task. And here it's done really well. And you can see all the cool animations and well-modeled guitar forms that actually helps to sell the vibe. Zoom in and you'll spot the attention to detail. A 2D color palette is perfectly tuned to match the 3D render. And even the gray The gray, it's not just a gray, it has this little brown that fits the color of the neck of the real guitar. So that kind of attention to detail is precious. And the soft studio lighting, well, yeah, this is pure gold. Paired with high quality textures, it gives the plugin a premium and realistic feel overall. So yeah, a high-end visual experience. Well done, guys. By the way, we put the Synth list together using platforms like KVR, Audio Plugin Guy, Record, and Sound on Sound. But I'm curious, where do you discover new plugin releases? Drop your favorite sources in the comments, maybe I've missed something. Now, here's a plugin that definitely stands out, both visually and conceptually. It has this power of brand, of course, but Morphestra Ultra feels like an outsider, maybe even an underdog. It demands your attention, but that attention comes with a visual dissonance, because you can see definitely this tag, this price tag, and you can see this interface at the same time. This user interface to me feels closer to a wireframe than a finished user interface. The visual style leans to more like budget end one of the spectrum, and that creates a bit of confusion between price point and presentation. There are positive sides here as well. The layout follows a modern, modular mixing structure. Each section is placed where it logically belongs, which supports a flexible workflow. Personally, I love pink and purple on a white background, and this balance isn't that bad, but the overall color harmony isn't quite there. Low contrast between text and background affects readability. The sheer number of controls overwhelms the main screen. This is not just a plugin you pick and go, it demands a bit of an effort to get used to. Still, it's a very bold design decision. And boldness always worth talking about. Do you agree? What do you think? And the next one has caught our attention, and it's Vox Guru. It tackles one of the hardest things in audio user interfaces: composition. Let me show you how this plugin plays with layout and hierarchy and pulls you in gracefully. When you first look at Vox Guru, it feels tall and lightweight, and that's not by an accident. It's the result of clever grid work and visual weight balancing. Here's the quick example. In the room module, the reverb and delay knob could have been placed side by side with these upper dB meters, or stacked above them. But instead, the designer opted for this more relaxed arrangement, a soft rule break that actually solved two problems. It made the interface feel lighter and more vertical. And the second one, it ensured consistency, so the modules align visually, even if they are positioned differently. That kind of layout isn't born from wireframes alone, it comes from experimentation and iteration, and it's not that something you can nail on the first try. Sure, some elements feel like they were placed in a hurry. A few knobs hang a bit high, a corner radius surrounding varies slightly between components. Details like major, minor switch or screen toggles fill a bit of the rhythm, but taken as whole, it's a strong and well-composed design. One of the most thoughtful layout in this roundup. By the way, have you noticed how some of the plugins we've seen lean towards outdated visual style? Now, that's not always a mistake. Sometimes it's a deliberate aesthetic, a callback to early 2010s plugin design. But what do you think? Does it feel intentional, or have I just seen way too many of this over the years? And we are moving to our next plugin. Since we already dipped into that 2010-17 design aesthetics, let's make a moment to look at Ambient Reverb and pay special attention to composition. Well, this is a great example of a symmetrical layout. You'll see a similar approach in Wave Shifter as well. And let me share a little secret. Here's an old UI kit we've designed back in the day. Let's compare the decay and mix knobs, to the large read main knobs from our UI kit. Those elements were the most detailed for a reason. What we were doing back then, when you're making the bigger element, it has to be more saturated and rich in texture, and keeping small elements simpler to support the overall style. Why? Because the large controls take up the most of the screen real estate. They demand your attention. Now let's talk about the color. The overall palette feels a bit washed out, with this acid neon matters trying to steal focus. It's slightly overwhelming, but maybe the designer was trying to visually balance the asymmetry. And speaking of balance, here we have Balance, a plugin with clean and asymmetrical layout, a clever use of central space. The vibe somewhere between 90s space film and 8-bit arcade, especially with a central void inside the large knob. That feeling is reinforced by the color palette, typeface, styling, black background, neon edges, high contrast all around. Does a designer's point of view, stick with you? Do you agree that it's visually striking and can wear you out during long sessions? Or, maybe as a user it's okay for you? Let me know in the comments. And of course, no UI breakdown would be complete without mentioning light. Lighting is one of the most powerful tools in any skeuomorphic interface, whether it's used as an accent, an inversive or unconventional effect, or simply to make something look cool and dimensional. And since we're talking about this light in skeuomorphic interfaces, let's take a look at this hardware emulation. It carries almost everything from the physical unit: layout, color scheme, proportions, everything except the tactile sensation, the tangible feeling. This sense of life and presence you get from the hardware, it's often created through light. All those glowing indicators, display flickers, subtle shadow play, and in this case, it's intentionally absent. Sure, we've covered a lot. And the main point is that the user interface is not just selling a functionality. Yeah, sure it does, but also it can sell a brand. It can sell a mood, or even make you smile. Every user, every person that touches this user interface has different expectations. Some users just want to have a clean user interface, intuitive tool. Others want to be surprised, inspired, maybe delighted. Like my TRZ coach used to say that for the same product, every user has different functions, sees different function. A developer might see a plugin as a sales tool. A designer, as a job to layer meaning on top of utility. To create atmosphere, memorability, and that subtle sense of cool. In our next videos, we'll dive deeper into details like typography, something I barely touched on today. There are plugins out there where the fonts are incredibly well chosen, easy to read, fast to scan, and slow enough to create a mood. Fonts are more than just labels. They are tools. And you can absolutely use them as a part of your stylistic identity. And until the next time.